Okay, step 2 is now ready. You can see that here. So we're going to move on to the input data. This is a busy page, but this is allowing you to have full control of the values that goes into your calculations and full transparency. But that, of course, has a certain cost that you will have to make sure that you are reliable in your input. The setup is that you can calculate economic values of pollutants, the pollutants NO2, ozone, PM10, PM2.5, as well as sulfur dioxides. In this tutorial, we will focus only on PM2.5. To the left, you have the possibility to look at exposure data that you see down here, and you will then be able to see the health outcomes as well. Remember that the default always shows you NO2, so you might want to make sure that you look at the pollutant you are analyzing if you don't do a multi-pollutant exposure analysis. But here you see the data we have in the model for the health effects associated with PM2.5. Cost values as well. These are the data we have for the cost associated with pollution. And you can select your economic region of concern, and you can also get your cost values, and you can get method descriptions here on the green boxes. Population and baseline health data is also available for you. You can get the data by clicking on the button here, and you can get the method by clicking on the green button, or rather dark green. So here we can see the population data for Belgium and Spain for the years we have selected, 2015, 2020 and 2030, both as total population all the way up to 100 years of age. So from the newborns up until the 100-year-olds for each scenario year. Moving back to the exposure data, this is what we have to put in or enter. And you can see here that this is an empty table. In another tutorial, we have instructed you on how to import via Excel, so I will not focus on that here, but we have to put in reliable numbers for Belgium and Spain and the annual population weighted mean concentrations in microgram per cubic meter for PM2.5. Now, as a part of the VALESOR project, we have also collected and made calculations on exposure data. And if you click on the Get Exposure Data here, you will be allowed to download an Excel file called 7. And if you open that, you should be able to find reliable concentration data from a selected number of countries and years. First, some info on where we have taken the data from, and then for each sheet you have data on NO2, PM2.5, PM10, ozone metrics, sulfur dioxide, NMVOC, and carbon oxides. As I said, we are focusing on PM2.5 and we are focusing on Belgium and Spain. So for the historical years we have data, annual average, Belgium 12.8. We will copy that number and introduce for Belgium 2015. Back to the Excel file, Belgium 2020 in the baseline, and we move on looking at Spain 2015, copy, paste, quite simple, and Spain 2020 as well. Now, the data in the VALESOR tool, there are data for scenarios for the future years. To the right here, you see projected exposure per country. But these are for the eclipse scenario set, and that's for the year 2050. But at least it gives us a range of pollution. So we can see in this column AB, the maximum feasible reduction by the year 2050 should lead to concentration of 6.79. I notice that is quite small here, so I can make it a bit larger. Belgium 2050, it's possible to reach 6.8-ish in concentration. So let's see if we can, in our scenario, in the baseline, assume that we would be somewhere around 8.5, let's say. For Spain, for the same scenario group, the eclipse, we have Spain here. Spain can move down to 4.36 at its lowest in the maximum feasible reduction. So let's assume, and in the baseline it's 6. So let's assume that we have somewhere around 8 in 2030 in the baseline. As we know, we should be able to reduce emissions more. So let's assume that Belgium will reduce down to 7.5 micrograms per cubic meter in the year 2030, given extra focus on pollution in their environmental policy. And Spain should be able to go down to 7. Now, this is based on the exposure data that we have downloaded from the exposure data button. We have entered exposures for the years 2015, 2020, and 2 scenarios for baseline, 2 scenarios for 2030, both baseline and the alternative 2030. We have not changed anything in terms of the numbers used for the health outcomes, the cost values, or the population. So now I will click Save Project. You have the project saved manually, green box there. And with that, I will end this recording, and the next video we will focus on the output. Thank you very much.